Chapter 2 Leo. Rosie's Tavern sat at the foot of the Great Western Mountain Range, the last stop for those traversing the treacherous Devil's Pass. It provided a place for pause, a chance to reconsider the ill-conceived notion of many novice adventurers that they'd survived the bitter cold long enough to navigate the narrow alpine trail. Inside its stone walls, a raucous mass of humanity drank and ate and more. Rosie's clientele chattered and chastised each other, shouted and shrieked, coughed, belched, and farted their way through the evening. But mostly they drank. Rosie held court at the bar, big boobs filling a beer-stained bodice. Her helping hand, a young slip of a girl named Yvette, weaved a circuitous route through the crowd. Built for the job, the little lass ducked between legs and around fat bellies to retrieve empty tankards or deliver bowls of food. A fire crackled from its hearth in the far wall, beating back the bitter cold that threatened to invade the tavern. His ample frame jammed into the furthest booth, Leo hunched over his supper. Each attempt to bring spoon to mouth was a gamble, a coin toss of sorts. The serving would either make it to his mouth and he'd enjoy another taste of Rosie's heartiest vegetable stew, or the idiots crammed into the booth would jostle him again, and the spoon would empty itself onto his chest. His tunic dripped with the contents of mouthfuls denied. "Sorry, pork chops!" the man shouted in Leo's ear as he bumped him again. "Looks like you don't need that dinner, though, eh?" Leo hunched closer over his bowl. The rabble would depart soon. Their money would run dry, and Rosie wouldn't let them linger if there weren't coins flowing over the bar. Leo would finish his first bowl and try to get Yvette's attention for a tankard of beer. He daren't risk losing his favorite spot by trying to push through the throng to the bar. Yvette and he shared an understanding. She'd look after him. He hoped to consume his usual 3 bowls of spicy stew and perhaps 6 tankards of cold beer, 7 if the food didn't stir his guts too much. 5 minutes later, as if by magic, Yvette's scrawny arm reached over Leo's shoulder from the booth next door. She placed a frothy ale in his hands and snatched his empty bowl away. A lout, engaged in an arm-wrestling competition with his friend, paused the battle. "Hey, how come you get special treatment, fatso?" Leo didn't answer. An alcoholic enjoying the day's first gulp of ale, he squinted, his eyes closed, blocking out all noise. He concentrated on the delightful sensation of the cool liquid slipping down his throat. Had he not been preoccupied with his drink, he wouldn't have answered anyway. They swore Leo to secrecy. Yvette, Rosie, and most of the local women that lived within a drunkard's stagger of the tavern. They made sure that chubby Leo didn't want for drink or meals or even a new tunic or warm winter's coat, provided he performed certain duties at which the gods had deigned him to be talented. For it was that in these parts, in whispered giggles among womenfolk only, that Leo was known as Leo the Licker. No man or woman was more skilled in the art of cunnilingus. Some time later, the crowd thinned. Farmers, smithies, and woodchoppers donned their woolen jackets and hats, bade their farewells to Rosie and both her lovely breasts, and ventured into the dark. Ladies and lasses also buttoned up, some casting a wistful glance back as they shuffled out the tavern door to check that Leo was alive and well. A trio of women without male companions engaged in an earnest discussion over whose turn it was with Leo tomorrow. But there was no debate as to tonight's lucky recipient of Leo's gift. Tonight was Sunday, Rosie's night. "Leo, come and give me a hand changing a beer keg, would you, love?" Rosie shouted from behind the bar. 2 hardened drinkers piped up. "We can do that for you, Rosie." "No, it's fine. Leo needs to move that ass of his. He's been in that booth all evening, haven't you, Leo?" With a shrug, the owner of the biggest ass in the village lifted himself out of his seat. The 6 tankards of ale argued that he should stay right where he was, but he knew his duty. He shambled after red-haired Rosie down the cellar stairs. "Yvette, look after the bar, dear," Rosie called. The young lass smiled a knowing smile, and took up her boss's position at the beer taps. In the dim cellar, Rosie lifted her skirts, revealing a fiery red bush. She plonked her behind on a beer keg. Leo knelt before her, as if in prayer. His face disappeared between the landlady's legs, and he set to earning his keep. Some time later, the two emerged from the cellar. "A nightcap, I think," he posited to her. "A tankard of your finest ale will serve well enough to chase the taste of your plump pussy, Rosie." "You're a cheeky one, all right, Mr. Leo," Rosie said, standing and straightening her skirts. "But that tongue of yours can say what it likes. Goodness me, it earns the right." The night had grown old. A fresh tankard was waiting for Leo in his booth, courtesy of Yvette, who busied herself stoking some life from the fire's dying embers. Rosie announced, "Last call!" to the few lingering clientele. Soon only Leo remained, and she helped him wrap up warm for the trudge through the village to his humble abode. She couldn't have him catching his death now, could she?